It is here, Custom Races 2022 tournament. And if that wasn't awesome enough, this is the first time I've been able to cast a Genetron versus Keiron match. Definitely something people have been asking for. And as the inaugural processing node goes down, let me publicly report my bias here. I've met Sigmar virtually. He's a former ESL caster from Poland, and he's a huge booster for the Scion Custom Races. And he was back in the day a Terran player. Node's gonna finish up, which means he's gonna be able to put down his manufacturer, just like going supply depot to barracks. But you really see how much longer it takes Keiron to get their first structure down. There's that edifice. It's because it's so much more expensive, but at the same time they don't have to worry about getting a separate supply structure. So it should all even out. Little chatter going on for our players here. Karanelus letting us know this is his first game of the tournament. I don't know anything about him, but I like him already just because he had the guts to sign up for this tournament. He's massing up the minerals for his second citadel, while Sigmar takes his first gas. Both our players have chosen names that are very pun resistant, but we will do what we can. Our Genetron player in the top left is an Emperor God from Warhammer. He is Sigmar! I know he's nervous to put himself out there, guys, so show him a lot of support. His manufacturer completes and he expands to his natural with a second processing core. But let's talk about our purple Keiron player in the bottom right. He's full of deadly weapons because you can use the letters of his name to spell arsenal. But if you use them all, you get Karanelus. My limited research skills tell me that Karanelus is a Protoss player normally and has a ridiculous MMR. And we know he's a cool cucumber because he's volunteered for this tournament. First unit out, we got a Spitfire for the Genetron, but it appears to be staying at home. Double Sanctum for Karanelus. I don't think I've actually ever seen that before. That's where you get the charges for your pulsars and your subjectors. Now before I forget, I wanted to explain a little bit about how this tournament actually works. The format is a round robin, which means everybody plays everybody else best of 3. Whoever collects the most wins, wins overall. There's no elimination. That's a Fabricator going down for our Genetron. And Sigmar's first uploader. He's also activated Mining Priority. That's the econ buff for the Harvesters. But put a pin in that, we've got a couple of Volts pushing out, making their way across the map. That map is Berlingrad. But I bet you figured that out by now. It's one of the smaller 2-player maps in the map pool, which means it often rewards aggression. But I'm sure the Volts are just here to try to sell encyclopedias. 2 Spitfires available to defend. Oh, great reaction by Sigmar. He pulls out a worker to repair. How do you know this guy's a Terran player? Karanelus is gonna try again. I think it's gonna backfire. Those Spitfires have a lot of hit points. 100 before they get upgraded. That was our first blood. Well, that reminds me, I gotta tell you guys, I was watching a game and I saw one of the players declare a first blood in the middle of his Starcraft game. It actually brought a little tear to my eye. My baby's all grown up. Can you imagine if First Blood actually became a real thing? Oh, and since I haven't cast Genetron in a while, you may notice the uploader now has a green beam. They got a cosmetic improvement. It's much easier to see, and it's now color-coded based on the number of uploaders that link to a building. So now Genetron players don't have to keep counting the uploaders anymore. They can see it at a glance. Oh, Karanelus is pushing out again, this time with a Subjector in the lead. The ACR is gonna spot it, but that's gonna cost him his life. I'm sure Sigmar was hoping for more than that, but that still had some value for him. You can see he's used his manufacturer to get himself a mole, and he's actually making a second one. If they're both dug in defensively, then I don't think that Karanelus is bringing enough to break that defensively. It's just such a powerful shot. Look at that, it just rips the shields right off that Subjector. The subject is death. Really good recognition by Karanelus with immediate pullback. Most players would take 2 or 3 of those shots before they clued in. But what he really wanted to accomplish is he wanted to put on some pressure while he expanded behind it, and he was able to do that. He knows he's forcing Sigmar to invest in defense. But hold the phone for a second. Just a second, am I seeing this right? Karanelus is researching the keyhole upgrade. But putting aside that we were too busy to notice he built an outlet, he might actually be that rare player who actually shapes in apertures. Almost everyone uses the outlet to make auroras, but you can use them to make the Keiron dropship. He's also getting +1 bioweapons. They may not always look at, but volts and subjectors are biological. Oh, Sigmar expanding the vision around his main. I think he's gonna need that. I may not know Karanelus, but I'm really warming up to him. There's a chance he might be showing us something new here. Sigmar researching calibrated engines, aka Spitfire's speed. He's also getting his +1 attack as well. And he's just finishing up his tech vault. Both our players very close on workers and very equal on income right now. Oh, Sigmar got the Batmobile. That's the Insider. I think we'll see that it's super effective against volts. Splash and anti-light, it's almost like it's made for volt killing. Oh, I'm so disappointed Karanelus is sending out an Aurora. I mean, certainly that's an excellent mode of harass. I was just really hoping for that dropship. Specifically, a long-range teleporting dropship, which I still think one day will become a big part of Keiron's strategy. It's just hard to do when people aren't that familiar with it. You see how the uploaders on the Fabricator are now red? That's because there's 3 of them. The Aurora drops an Emanator for vision and then slides in, takes some pot shots at a processing node. That's not really an optimal target. Karanelus fixes that. He sees a clear path to the workers. Oh, Sigmar's caught without anti-air. His Fabricator's actually busy making a Virtus. Is he gonna cancel that? He needs a Torrent. He's got an Interdictor, an air turret there in the middle of his mineral line, but it's out of range to hit the Aurora. Oh, nice. He readjusts his workers so they're closer to the turret. Karanelus decides to settle for the processing node. Sigmar will take that as an acceptable loss. Oh, I think he did cancel the Virtus, but his turret is trapped. Sigmar's got a SimCity bottleneck. Looks like he's fixed that with a rally point. The second torrent gets out. These things are terrific anti-air units. The Aurora just cannot go toe-to-toe with that. Karanelus gets it. He's got to get out of there. That processing core is not worth it. He leaves it on lockdown. That's good enough. Meanwhile, Karanelus is making a foundry so he can get charges for those Ombre. The hamster balls of doom. My theory is the Ombre are terrific against the Genetron. They are anti-armor, and detection is always a bit of a challenge for the Genetron. Or at least the way it's played right now. Sigmar's scouting with a pair of processing drones. I think he's lost one already. Karanelus getting the amplified sphere upgrade, range for the subjectors, and the ever-deadly latent charge. That's the bounce attack for the Volt. Oh, he has made an aperture, and is actually loaded with 6 volts. I'd given up on Karanelus, but he might be looking to pull it off. The idea is you drop your harass units, and then you can just pick them up from a long distance. Like, really far. I don't know if that processing drone has seen the aperture, and it is... Yes, it's gonna head out. Okay, forget the rest of the game, I just want to see this. Oh, Keiron's gonna start up a 4th base at the same time. That's gonna get him a lead. Assembly array for Sigmar. That's gonna unlock air units for him. And he's gonna get 3 more manufacturers. That lets the Genetron player go mass Spitfire in a hurry. If the Genetron player keeps on top of their mining, at some point they wind up with a mineral glut. And the Spitfire is that gas-free unit they can really crank out. Oh, and we see that Sigmar has rebuilt his uploader. He will no longer have units getting trapped by his Fabricator. I repeat, I feel for him. I know I've definitely been there. Gotta watch that loaded aperture. Oh, I thought it was going. He's waiting for something, but I don't see a second prong to this attack. Maybe he's gonna wait for Sigmar to push out. I don't care, I'm just gonna check it all day long until he goes. I will miss the entire game if I have to. I don't quite get the heavy reliance on subjectors for Karanelus here. Sigmar's not showing a lot of air here. That Spitfire came close to spotting the aperture, but it's going. 6 volts inside to be dropped behind the mineral line. There's an interdictor that will fire if the dropship gets too close. Oh, we used the aperture to summon a pair of Auroras. Sigmar, though, has the torrents he needs. He just cleans that right up. Oh, what could have been a great offensive drop is just defeated by solid defense. I was a little bit confused by the teleportation of the Auroras since they could just fly in anyway. But I do like this follow-up attack. We've got some cloaked Ombre looking to find their way inside. They are rolling for the 3rd base. Sigmar has repositioned his army there. Oh, and he's got detection. This is gonna go equally bad. There's a mole there and overwhelming forces to just shut that right down. Sigmar's defense is on fire. I think Karanelus meant to have those 2 attacks happen simultaneously, and it just didn't happen for him. But now Sigmar's pushing out. He's correctly deduced that as a result of his defense, he now has an army advantage, and he means to wield it. He catches Karanelus' third without a defense. Well, there's a Stratus to deal with the Hornet, but that's it. Oh, here comes the cavalry. The pariahs are gonna charge in there. Sigmar's Virtus tanks are really gonna be able to take some hits there. They get the Citadel. It's a pudding pop. And here's where we see if I'm right about these subjectors. Someone was trying to explain to me in the comments that just because subjectors are great against air doesn't mean they suck against ground. They're comparable to a stalker in that way. But Sigmar seems to be getting a lot done with a cheaper army there. Maybe it's my own bias, but I feel like it's the Meridians and the Inducer that really saved the day there. But he actually only lost 3 subjectors, and Karanelus walks away with an army lead. But Sigmar is up on bases, and he has the income lead. Look at that uploader web. Sigmar is just showing off all 3 colors for us there. He is going to be able to rebuild that depleted army quick. But look at the tech on Karanelus. He's got himself a Harbinger. Where's that Inducer going? He's taking free shots there, but he's exposed. Oh, he was the bait. Oh, those subjectors just ripped that Hornet apart. But you see that most of what Sigmar is making right now is equalizers. They do really good damage against armor, which means they can just rip into those subjectors. They also kind of look really cool. And speaking of things that are cool, Karanelus is making a Zenith, probably pronounced Zenith. That's how he gets his Paragon, his capital ship. But for now, he's pulled back so he can rebuild his third. While he does that, Sigmar's gonna take a fourth and see if he can get ahead on bases. Karanelus' production is so organized. Sigmar's up to 9 equalizers at this point, and contrary to the name, I think that kind of puts him ahead. But I think the real question is, are those equalizers piloted by Edward Woodward or Denzel Washington? I mean, which equalizer are we talking about here? Oh, hold that thought, he's pushing out again. I thought Sigmar wasn't too big a fan of the Virtus, but it's definitely a core piece of his army here. Oh, that base is just finishing up again. No defense. Oh, Sigmar pauses. He's gonna let it finish. Oh, that was perfectly timed. Where is the cavalry this time? Here it comes. Oh, but this time Sigmar's gonna pull back. Oh, that was beautiful. Look what you can do on a smaller map. He just popped over for coffee. Karanelus is back to 3 bases. Sigmar's gonna saturate his 4th. Karanelus is gonna go on a spending spree here. He's got a bit of a bank. Look at that, a ton of pariahs. I think he wanted to go raid a mineral line, but instead he runs straight into the Genetron army. Very bad luck for the Keiron player. His edifice charges are all gonna be on cooldown. And he's starting up an expansion of what's gonna turn out to be a bad time. Sigmar smells blood in the water. He's going after the rocks. He's gonna be detected by a very well-placed Oculus beam. Karanelus used those precious seconds to get himself a pair of inducers. 10 equalizers dropping. Oh! Karanelus drops the convergence. All those equalizers go into deep red. Everything but the Virtus is red. He needs to focus them down. Oh, the Virtuses are really worth their weight in gold. They are just sucking all the attention. They are tanks that literally tank. There is some gamer irony there somewhere. Karanelus is going to try to counter. He did get himself an army lead with that defense, but Sigmar's got a big income lead and his production is furious. The Keiron's gonna claim a node as a prize, but I think Sigmar was just putting those out for vision. Oh, I do not think Karanelus wants to go up that ramp. I love that he researched convergence though. Does he have energy on his Meridians? That saved his base back home and kept him in this game. And he's gonna finish a 4th. Once he saturates that, he's effectively back up on even bases. Oh, good game sense here. Karanelus realizes the clock has ran out. He pulls back. I think he needs to harass. I don't think he wins a straight up army versus army when his opponent has the defender's advantage right now. Oh, I could be mistaken. He just rolled out a Paragon. And he's finishing up an Aegis. Can we catch that? I love watching this thing appear. Though he's built a Stratus in the exact same spot. What happens when you do that? Oh, they just share the space. Another advanced alien race defying physics. Look at that, they're just like blending into each other. Well, I'm distracted by pretty pictures. Karanelus is making a go of this. He picks off a bunch of Spitfires and makes his way towards the 3rd. Sigmar's added in blitzers and we know he likes to use the supercharge. He sends out processing drones, but the inducers have something to say about that. They do get off and analyze weakness. Karanelus pulls back. He's going to let that expire. Good call there. And then he uses his inducers to try to bait his opponent into attacking away from his turrets. It works. Sigmar decides he's outranged and that he has to attack. But there are so many equal... Oh, another convergence. Now, I know we normally just treat that like Storm, but you gotta appreciate that there's double damage against mechanical units, which, coincidentally, the Genetron, pretty much everything it has is. I think Karanelus is showing us that it's just a fantastic play against the Genetron. Uh-oh, Sigmar's crossed his streams. That's like a Ghostbuster no-no. Never make cats in the cradle art with your uploaders, guys. Just kidding, you do you. This has turned into a really good game. Sigmar's definitely got an advantage here, but he's just gotta be worried about those Meridians. He's gotta find a way to pick them off before he can really engage. Oh, Aegis teleportation. Where did it go? But if Karanelus could see what we see on the mini-map, he'd know that he already had it in the right spot. He actually moved it out of the way. Bad fortune there. Now if he teleports it back, he won't have enough for a shield, which he could really use. Oh, the Genetron just has so much. So many torrents laying into that Paragon. It just evaporates. The Aegis came back. Is that enough for a save? Sigmar has a concave on that Citadel. He just drops it. And Karanelus' army has evaporated. Sigmar cuts the Keiron off from his other base. Karanelus tries to shape in to save it. All of Keiron's other bases are heavily mined. This one's gonna hurt. It's gone. The silver lining for Karanelus, though, is he made the Genetron really pay for that. He's got an army lead once again, but it's not gonna last. If he feels pressure to capitalize right now, he's not wrong. The Genetron are finding it hard to run away from quadruple inducers. We're just gonna pick off those units trying to get home. Karanelus is savage. He gunned down Lassie, but he clearly wants vengeance for the bases he's lost. He knows he needs to do some economic damage here. It looks like Sigmar's thinking about sacking, or at least waiting till he gets more reinforcements. But Karanelus is reinforcing his attack. This is gonna be close. Core goes into lockdown. Sigmar attacks. Who's got this? Oh, Karanelus pulls back. The core survive. Oh, huge conversion. If that is how you retreat, you do that every time. Wow, dude, wow. He picks off the moles that are doing so much damage to it, but now a Virtus is arriving. And Sigmar is gonna save his core. He's got a ton of ACRs repairing away. Just a fabulous attack, but perhaps an even better defense. All of a sudden, those deadly inducers don't have any support. No, I'm wrong again. The Keiron has just enough to survive. He's coming back to see if he can get that core, but there's a Virtus there now. Karanelus bringing his inducer count up to 6. He just needs something tanky in front. How is the Keiron player doing this on a shoestring budget? Sigmar going for a high-speed run-by with some Spitfires. Karanelus going for that core once again. He's out of Meridians, though. There's a mole in the back making his life miserable. I like this. He pulls back out of mole range and destroys that Virtus like it's a piece of paper. There's 3 nullifiers at this base. Sigmar's looking to get around them. He finds a little nook. Sigmar's up to 80 workers, and this is really going to compound his worker lead. Oh, Karanelus has to pull his inducers back to deal with this. That is not good for him. That amazing long-distance pressure was really keeping him in this game. But when it's your most important functioning base, I guess you gotta come back to defend it. And once again, it's kind of the same thing. Sigmar does not have the army, but he's got the economy to get one. I mean, I kind of want to question why he's making Hornets when his opponent has inducers and subjectors. But the answer is he's just building everything he can. I got a production facility, I'm gonna use it. My Hornet's gonna kill something. He saved his 4th base, his 5th base is humming. He is an economic powerhouse now. And by the time I'm done talking about it, he'll probably have himself another army lead. Karanelus just keeps teching. He's going to be able to make a Titan soon. I can't help but feel that he should go back to Meridians, though. Those really kept him in the game. Oh, Sigmar says, I'll see your Titan and raise you Badgers. He is getting himself an analysis terminal. That's his final tier air tech structure. Apparently, Karanelus is a witness. He needs to be badgered. And there's that Pantheon for those Titans. Well, what he's actually making right now are Myriads. Myriads seem to be great against everything in practice, but in theory they should be really good against the Spitfires. Karanelus already has his +3/+3, so he's actually going to pick up his shield upgrades at this point. Our first GVK, and it is going to be a late gamer, which is doubly impressive when you consider these players have not really sat back a lot. Oh, Sigmar's going after his favorite punching bag, the Keiron's original third. The Nullifiers should be able to deal with that, but maybe not before the Spitfires get their weight in dead workers. Oh yeah, here comes the cleanup force. There is a ton of DPS in that Keiron army right now. But double Badgers in production for the Genetron. And speaking of doubles, Sigmar is double expanding. He's taking a corner base in the top right and one more in the bottom left. He's like at 85 workers at this point. I think it won't be long before Sigmar maxes out. Wow, that graph didn't make the income disparity look that bad. And that might be the explanation right there that Keiron has been slightly more efficient. I wonder how much of that was due to those insane convergence hits. Sigmar's got his Badgers and he's moving out. This makes some sense. He wants to keep his opponent busy while he's double expanding. And he's maxed. If Karanelus wants to survive yet again, he's gonna have to dig deep. His army may be smaller, but it's full of really expensive quality units. And yes, that includes a shiny new Paragon. He's swinging his army to the right. Sigmar is controlling the center. A Volt Scout is gonna find that expansion. Sigmar sliding over to defend, but he might be too late. The Keiron's bringing a lot of firepower. Oh, good recognition here. Sigmar says, you want a base race? That's fine with me. I got Badgers. This is some great strategy here. In my humble view, once Genetron gets Badgers, they are really hard to base race. They do an insane amount of damage versus ground, and because they're in the air, they're of course very mobile, easy to get base to base. When they are unopposed, they just do rampant destruction. Not to say nothing to the fact that he's maxed out with Hornets as well. And because you're Genetron, you're going to have so many more structures than your Keiron opponent. At this phase of the game anyway. Looks like Karanelus heard me. He's pulling back. He can't take the pounding. He doesn't really have a choice but to face that army head on. I mean, hitting unguarded bases is great, but not if your opponent's going to do it as well. Oh, the Inducers just dropped that first Badger. But here come the anti-armor equalizers. And the Hornets, there's barely any subjectors around anymore. Oh, Emissary Orb! Dead center of the Genetron army. Karanelus' AoE is terrific, but is it enough to save him? Oh, he gets caught shooting Virtus on lockdown again. Sigmar just presses the attack. He's making more Badgers behind this. There is too much ochre-colored goo on the battlefield. That is not good if you're a Keiron player or if you just don't like things that are wet and sticky in general. Oh, this is actually going to be another close one again. I thought Sigmar had this, but he is running out of gas. The equalizers do not have any hit points to spare. Oh, look, that is close. Karanelus holds with only 2 units. They're both deep in the red. His reinforcements consist of 2 volts. Probably not good enough once the double Badgers turn up. Karanelus probably needs to stop settling for processing cores, but I don't know if he can push into those turrets. Genetron is reinforcing. Here come the Blitzers. Forget the Blitzers. Here comes quadruple Badgers. The Paragon drops an Emissary Orb. It hits, but it's also GG. What a classy way to go out. That is how you go out with a bang. That was a fun one. Well, congratulations to Sigmar. Confession time, I was told in advance this was going to be a good game. I love it when I get a warning like that. I know you people do not have time for dull games. So, my first G versus K, Genetron versus Keiron. Here's what I learned anyways. Number 1, absolutely, is that convergence is really good against Genetron. I should have been able to theory craft. Just look at some of these hits. So, this is half speed slow-mo. So originally I wasn't too impressed with convergence. The Meridian's lightning bolt attack is already awesome. The lightning bolt does 80 damage for less energy. Convergence does 50, but it is an area attack. And you have to research convergence, and it's not cheap. But once you consider that it does an extra 50 damage against mechanical, it looks pretty awesome. 100 damage is exactly enough to one-shot Spitfires. And it puts those equalizers deep, deep into the red. Just remember, it's not instant like Storm. There's a 2-second build before the attack actually goes off. Second, the Virtus was really helpful in so many of those fights. The Genetron's Virtus has been one of the more controversial units, with some players declaring it OP and others underpowered. It's been buffed and played around with in at least 2 patches now, with a lowered cost and an improved healing ability and better speed. To my mind, so many of the units will auto-target the Virtus, even after it goes into lockdown and starts healing. So what it really does is soak hits for your other more fragile damage dealers. In the case of Sigmar in this game, it was often those glass cannon equalizers that really benefited. I think what's going to happen is that over time, Virtus are going to become the red Smarties. Anybody remember that commercial? Eat the red ones last? Oh no, now I'm just going to go and do it.
When you eat your Smarties, do you eat the red ones last? Do you sock them very slowly or crunch them very fast? Eat that candy-coated chocolate, but tell me when I ask. When you eat your Smarties, do you eat the red ones last?
So my point is, easier said than done, but when you kill your Genetron, kill the Virtus last. There's that temptation to finish them off when they're in lockdown, but at that point, they're not a threat to you. The third and last thing I gotta cover is the aperture and the keyhole ability. We still haven't really seen how the keyhole ability is going to be used, but I sincerely thank Karanelus for trying. I blame Sigmar for shutting this down before we really got to see its potential. I think it's going to be awesome. To my mind, you wouldn't normally keyhole a flying unit such as an Aurora, because if you wanted them as part of the attack, you could just have the Auroras fly in with the aperture at the same time in the first place. Instead, keyhole in a ground unit, which would otherwise have trouble getting to the attack location, or use the keyhole to engineer an impressive escape. I think, though, what Karanelus' strategy was is that when you keyhole a ground unit, it appears inside the aperture dropship itself, and you then have to micro to drop it to attack. But if you keyhole in an air unit, it just appears next to the aperture instead, so he's saving time. I didn't really think about that, so I thank him for the demo here. I mean, we've got to experiment with the units before we can really learn how to best make use of them, so props to Karanelus for taking risks in a tournament. Anyways, guys, if there are any specific matchups people want to see, let me know, as our ability to find such games is gradually increasing. If you want to see more of this tournament, let me know that too, but you don't have to wait. You can go check it out on Solstice's channel right now. Maybe drop him a sub, or you can even drop one here if you are so moved. If you do, I promise not to play the Smarties song again, like ever. So let me just say, from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your Starcraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your Starcraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang Starcraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.